The moon looked kind that night, but the cold wanted me dead. I was only 10 years old, standing in the snowfields of Wisconsin, breath turning into crystals in the air, animals shivering in the storm. Dad was too sick to help. Mom was working late. My sisters refused to go out, so I told myself, these calves, these calves, are my family too. I pulled my yellow jacket around my waist instead of wearing it, because I felt hot even as the wind cut through me. That is how hypothermia tricks you. It whispers that you are warm while death waits just inches away. I laughed as I stumbled, giggling at my own clumsy feet. But that laughter was not joy. It was my body shutting down. I had no idea. I was walking out of this world and into another. And what I saw next changed everything, forever. I remember dragging myself back into the house, dizzy, words slipping out of my mouth the wrong way. My sister shouted at me, "Why are you slurring? Why don't you wear your jacket?" Dad just said, "Go lie down. Warm yourself." I nodded, climbed the creaking stairs, and told Mom I would nap until dinner. Upstairs, the air was sharp with winter, yet I burned inside as if fevered. I laid down on my bed, pulled nothing over me, and closed my eyes. The next breath I took was not in my body. It was above it. It felt like sitting up, except I had left the weight of flesh behind. I looked down, and there I was, a small girl, asleep, cheeks red from cold, blanket twisted on the floor. For a moment I thought, she looks peaceful. She could be anyone. No fear, no shock, only clarity. Colors sharper than sunlight. Silence deeper than prayer. Then I thought of Mom in the kitchen, and instantly I was there. She was stirring a pot, steam rising like a soft white flag. I saw more than sight. I sensed her rhythm: cook, serve, sit by the TV. Her aura glowed orange, not like fire, but like the warmth of routine love. I wondered if I should go back upstairs. And with that thought, I was already in my room. My body lay where I left it, motionless, fragile. Moonlight spilled across the floor, like a silver river. It felt like an invitation, like a road calling me to follow. I leaned toward the light, and without effort, I slipped through the wall. Snow met me on the other side, billions of crystals sparkling like galaxies in miniature. Each flake shimmered with the full spectrum: violet, green, blue, colors alive. I hovered close, childlike wonder filling me, whispering, "How beautiful, how perfect." Above me, the moon blazed brighter than I had ever seen. Its glow painted the world with blue-white fire. I whispered, "What would it be like to live there?" And before the thought finished, a pull, a rushing, a tunnel of gray and black swirling around me. It was not quick like my other jumps. It was long, heavy, endless. Time had no meaning, only motion forward, deeper and deeper into silence. And then suddenly, the ground returned beneath me. Dust, silver white, a crater wide as a stadium, and me, standing small at its center. I looked around in awe. The moon was not barren. It was alive with color in ways I cannot describe. Every rock shimmered faintly. Every shadow glowed with a hidden hue. I stretched out my hands, and for a moment I thought, am I really here? Or am I inside the dream of God himself? But then the stillness shifted. I felt it before I saw it. I was not alone. 3 immense forms began to rise on the edges of the crater. They were taller than buildings, robes of flowing light, outlines vast and wing-like. I should have trembled, but there was no fear, only peace. Only the sense of being seen by something impossibly old and endlessly patient. My journey was only beginning, and I did not yet know that the next presence to arrive would change me forever. They rose higher in the crater, 3 figures made of light, blue-white energy flowing like rivers across their robes. Their wings seemed hinted but never moved. Their faces invisible, yet I felt their eyes inside my soul. Peace poured out of them. Not silence, but a music without sound. Love so deep, it made me want to weep. One leaned close. Vast as a skyscraper, but gentle as a father. He asked nothing with words. Yet in my heart I heard, "What do you think of your life?" I whispered back. It was hard. I was hurt. I was cold. But I tried to care. I tried to love. Then the air shifted. A new presence entered the crater. And I knew without anyone telling me, it was Jesus. He did not come with thunder. He came with warmth. A quiet authority that stilled everything. I looked up and felt his gaze. Not on my body, but on my soul, he said. The world is colder than this snow. Not outside, but inside the human heart. You build machines faster than compassion. You hold devices closer than children. You scroll while souls beside you collapse unseen. Wake up, see each other again. He turned my eyes to families. Millions of homes burning with anger. Children learning to shout before they learn to pray. He said, break the cycle. Speak a gentle word where you want to strike. Forgive even when your blood demands revenge. Then he showed me the earth itself. Storms rising sharper. Oceans swelling. Forests gasping. He said, creation is crying, not to punish you, but to warn you. You were made stewards, not destroyers. Care for the land or it will rise against you. I saw crowded streets, poverty choking faces, men and women bowed under hunger. And he said, the measure of your greatness is how low you kneel to lift the poor. Do not walk past them as if blind, for I am there, waiting in their eyes. He looked at me again, his voice filled with invitation, not command. He said, will you help? Will you carry this warning back to the living? My whole being trembled. I was only a child. What could I do? But the love in his eyes was stronger than my fear. And I whispered yes. At that moment I felt both small and infinite, like a candle flame lit by the sun itself. Fragile, yet burning with borrowed fire. I understood. This was not just about me. It was about everyone. And the choice to return would carry both weight and mission. Jesus lifted his hand, and suddenly the crater became a mirror of the whole earth. I saw cities glowing with neon and fire, towers of glass shining. But inside, hearts starving. He said, comfort has multiplied, but compassion has thinned. People drown in entertainment while their neighbors drown in despair. He pointed to screens. Billions of faces bent downward. Eyes hypnotized. He said, your eyes forget to bless. Your voices forget to comfort. Every moment you choose the image instead of the soul, you let love grow weaker. Do not trade eternity for a flicker on a screen. The guardian stood in silence, as if his words carved truth into the air itself. Then Jesus spoke again. He said, anger is the plague of this age. Wars begin in the kitchen before they begin in nations. Heal the homes and you heal the world. Ignore the homes and war multiplies. He showed me children crying behind closed doors, fathers chained to addiction, mothers collapsing under silent depression. And he said, when you comfort the broken in your house, you build peace on your street. When you turn away, you plant war in the soil of your own bloodline. The crater trembled and shifted. Now I saw forests on fire, seas rising over islands, storms breaking roofs apart. He said, do not pretend creation will remain silent. Every storm is a letter. Every drought is a cry. Take care of the earth. Not as property, but as a gift you must guard. If you destroy it, you destroy the future of your children. My small heart shook. I thought, how can a child like me hold such warnings? But Jesus looked at me with patience. And he said, The size of the messenger is nothing. It is the weight of the message that matters. And I will go with you. Do not fear. For my strength is made perfect in your weakness. The three guardians bowed slightly toward him, light rippling from their forms like waves across water. I knew then that all creation bowed to him, not by force, but by recognition. He is love itself, and nothing can resist his presence. He turned to me again, and his final words burned into my spirit. Guard your heart, guard your words, guard your compassion. The cold of the world will tempt you to harden, but hardness is the true death. Stay soft, stay merciful, stay awake, I whispered again. Yes, Lord. I will remember. And though I was trembling, I felt courage pour into me, like warm oil into a broken lamp. The crater dissolved, the moonlight dimmed, but his voice remained, echoing in my soul, as the invitation that would define the rest of my life. The crater melted into flowing water, a vast river stretching beyond sight. Its current shimmered with silver light, strong yet calm, endless in both directions. Jesus stood beside me, and he said, "This is time as you know it. It begins where you cannot see, it ends where you cannot imagine." Small stones appeared in my hands, smooth, cool, heavy with meaning, he said. Every decision is a stone. Once cast, it makes ripples. You may think your choices are small, but the river remembers them all. This is how love spreads. This is how sin spreads. Nothing disappears. He showed me two great rocks on the far shore. One marked the end of my life if I stayed here. The other marked the moment of my return if I chose Earth again. Between them, the river waited. Open. Listening. I looked at the stones in my hands, and fear pressed on my chest. What if I choose wrong? What if I hurt others? What if I cannot carry this? But he said, "You will not walk alone. I will send help when you choose the harder good. Do not fear mistakes. Fear only the refusal to love." He invited me to speak my desires, and the first burst from me like a cry. I want to care for my mother. She is tired. She is fragile. She is bound to me by love, and he nodded, for he already knew. The second I whispered softer, "I want a family of my own, healthy, gentle, free of violence." The guardians stirred, and one lifted a massive boulder, as if it were a pebble. He dropped it into the current. Splash. Ripples spreading far across the water. He said, "Because of this choice, challenges will come. Pain will train you, but every wave will teach mercy. Every struggle will deepen love." I clutched my stones tighter, not knowing if I wanted to throw them or hold them. But Jesus smiled, and he said, "No one escapes trial. Not even I escaped the cross. What matters is that your trial becomes a seed, not a prison. Will you plant these choices? Will you water them with faith?" Tears rolled down my face, not from fear, but from the weight of eternity pressing against a child's soul. I whispered, "Yes, Lord, let it be so." And I let the stones fall from my hands into the river. The ripples glowed, weaving patterns of light that seemed to reach into the future itself. He placed his hand upon my shoulder, and warmth poured into me. He said, "Your mission is simple, yet it will cost everything. Protect the small. Speak truth gently. Forgive quickly. Guard creation. And keep your body as temple. Do these, and you will fulfill what you promised tonight." I felt strength rise inside me, like roots gripping into holy soil. Though I was still a child, though my voice still trembled, I understood. My life was no longer mine alone. It belonged to love, and love had given me a mission. The river faded, and the guardians lifted their hands. Images poured into the air like paintings alive, swirling lights forming into scenes of memory. At first, I thought they were dreams. but they felt too heavy, too real, too full of pain and joy. I saw myself in moments from this life, the cruelty of neglect, the sting of words thrown like knives. But when the memories opened wider, I felt not only my own pain, I felt the pain I had caused others. Every harsh word, every careless act, came back to me multiplied. It was as if my soul was forced to sit inside another's heart, feeling exactly what they had felt. The weight was almost unbearable. Yet I understood. This was justice deeper than law. This was sowing and reaping written into the fabric of existence. Nothing is wasted. Not even the smallest act of kindness. Not even the smallest wound we cause. Everything returns. To teach, to heal, or to break us if we refuse to learn. The guardians let the visions shift again. This time they were not from my current life. I saw a marketplace long ago. Strange clothes, strange voices, but the feelings were mine. I saw a wooden table, where a woman's face looked back at me with both anger and devotion, and in a whisper deeper than words. I knew. She was my mother in another time, but in that life she had been my husband. The scenes were not exact histories, but lessons wrapped in story. They showed me how souls meet again and again, bound by love, bound by unfinished mercy. I understood then. Our relationships are not accidents. They are classrooms designed by God's wisdom. Where we fail, we are returned to try again, until love is perfected. At one point, the guardians held up a mirror of light. Inside it, I saw my own face, but older, scarred by sorrow, yet softened by forgiveness. I asked them, "Is this my future?" And they only smiled. I realized the answer was not fixed. It was shaped by choices yet to be made. They placed 2 small stones in my hands again. I felt their weight pressing into my palms, heavy with eternity. The first was the decision to care for my mother until the end of her days. The second was the decision to create a family where tenderness and safety ruled instead of violence. I wanted both, desperately. But the guardians warned me. Every choice births consequence. One of them lifted a larger stone, glowing like fire, and cast it into the river. The splash echoed like thunder. Ripples rolled outward, some shining with beauty, some dark with sorrow. They said, "Because of your desire to protect, you will face trials that test your patience, your endurance, your faith." I trembled. I asked, "Why must love always be tied to pain?" And they answered, "Because pain is the soil where compassion grows. Without struggle, love stays shallow. With struggle, love takes root and becomes unshakable. Do not curse the trial. It is the midwife of your mercy." Then they showed me another vision. I saw myself as an adult, raising children, guiding them with gentleness. But shadows pressed at the edges. Temptations to anger. Temptations to despair. I saw how easy it would be to repeat the cycle of my own family's mistakes, and I cried out, "No, Lord, I do not want to wound as I was wounded." Jesus stepped closer, and he said, "That is why you are shown these things, not to frighten you, but to awaken you. What you bind on earth, you bind in heaven. What you release on earth, you release in heaven." Choose now to bind mercy and to release forgiveness. I fell to my knees in that place of light, stones still clutched in my hands. I whispered, "Let me care for her. Let me build a home of peace. I am only a child, but give me strength when the days grow heavy." And they promised, "When the time is right, you will remember this. You will know what to do." The guardian's light swelled brighter, and I felt waves of love pour over me. Not love that excused sin, but love that healed wounds. They showed me briefly how envy, greed, wrath, pride are chains that bind spirits to darkness, and how gentleness, generosity, humility are keys that unlock eternity. I understood then. The real battle is not outside. It is inside. It is fought in every choice of the heart, every word spoken in anger or in love. Heaven is not only a place to arrive. It is a pattern we are asked to practice even while breathing on earth. And my mission, my future, would be to keep practicing until my last breath. The stones in my hands grew light, and then dissolved into sparks. The river shimmered, and the visions faded. I stood once more in the crater, trembling, but no longer afraid. For now I knew. Every act matters. Every soul matters. Every choice writes eternity. The guardian's light dimmed, and Jesus spoke once more. He said, "You have seen, you have chosen. Now you must return. When the time is right, you will remember, and you will know." Before me, the river shimmered again, flowing like liquid silver. I understood. Stepping into it would carry me back to the small body lying cold and fragile in a farmhouse bed, back to the pain, back to the mission I had promised to live. I took a deep breath. Though I had no lungs, I stepped forward, and the current swallowed me. The tunnel came again, faster this time, pulling, pressing. Colors collapsed into gray, gray into black, then black into weight. I slammed into my body like falling into stone. The shock of heaviness crushed me, every limb stiff, every joint screaming. Cold ripped through me, my teeth clattered uncontrollably. The lightness of spirit was gone, replaced by flesh. Weak and shaking, I gasped, opened my eyes. The ceiling of my room stared back. I dragged myself out of bed, each step a mountain, down the stairs, hands trembling on the rail, feet numb against the wood. At last I collapsed near the fire, wrapping myself in a blanket. The stove crackled, sparks jumping against the brick. I pressed as close as I could, desperate for warmth, desperate for life. Mom turned, her face soft with surprise. She said, "Dinner is not ready yet. You must not have napped long." I only nodded, unable to explain, my voice too fragile. But inside I carried a secret too great for words. The weight of eternity pressed inside my 10-year-old chest. And yet, I sat quietly, watching the flames, waiting for my heart to steady. That night I spoke nothing. But inside I knew I had crossed a boundary. I had touched both death and life, and chosen to return. Every breath from then on would be borrowed, every moment a gift. And though I was only a child, I knew the mission had already begun. Years passed. The snow melted into memory. Yet the fire of that night never left me. I grew older, but inside I carried the weight of eternity. Every choice I made, every word I spoke, echoed with the voice of Jesus, reminding me, protect the small, speak truth gently, forgive quickly. As a teenager, I struggled. Anger lurked in my veins. The old wounds of neglect whispered, but whenever rage rose in me, I remembered his eyes, calm, steady, patient. I would pause, breathe, and choose the softer word. It did not make me weak. It made me free. My mother's body weakened with the years. I cared for her as I had promised, cooking meals, holding her hand when pain stole her sleep. Sometimes I grew tired. Sometimes resentment knocked at my heart. But then I recalled the stone I had thrown, and the ripples that would follow. In time, I built a family of my own. Small, tender, imperfect but alive with love. I learned that a healthy home is not made of money or walls, but of listening, of gentleness, of prayer whispered in kitchens. When my children cried, I knelt. When they erred, I forgave, because I remembered the warning. Wars begin in the kitchen before they begin in nations. There were days I stumbled, I confess. There were nights I drank too much. Nights I forgot the sacredness of my body. and with each mistake I felt the distance from the light. But even then, grace waited. Mercy invited me back. When I chose health, when I chose honesty, the visions returned. The future dreams reminded me of who I was. Sometimes in those dreams I felt others' pain before they spoke it. A co-worker whose grandfather had just died. His sorrow washed over me before his words did. I realized then, empathy is not weakness. It is a gift. To feel another's wound is to be called to heal it. Now I speak to you. Yes, you who are watching this. You may think your choices are small. You may think your life unnoticed. But listen. Every word, every action, every silence writes eternity. You are more powerful than you believe. If your home is burning with anger, step outside, breathe, return with one gentle word. If your phone has stolen your eyes, put it down. Look into the face of someone near you. If despair whispers you are useless, feed something alive. A pet, a plant, a hungry soul, and watch your heart ignite. These are not grand miracles, but they are the seeds of heaven on earth. I tell you this, Jesus did not shame me. He invited me. He did not count my failures. He counted my chances to love. That same invitation waits for you now. Wherever you are, whatever you carry. You are not too far gone. You are not too broken. You are not forgotten. If storms rage in your family, remember the words He gave me. Heal the home, and you heal the world. If greed tempts you, remember, the poor are Christ in disguise. Lift them and you will lift Him. If bitterness grips you, remember, forgiveness breaks chains heavier than iron. And if loneliness devours you, remember, the light still waits to pour warmth into your soul. I came back from death not to boast, but to beg you. Live awake. Live merciful. Live soft, because hardness is the true death, and love is the only eternity. This is my testimony. This is my plea, that you would hear, and that you would choose, as I chose. If my story touched you, do not let it end here. Take one step now. Subscribe to this channel, so that together we can spread more stories that awaken sleeping hearts. Leave a comment below. Tell me what one small choice you will throw into your river today. It can be forgiveness. It can be kindness. It can be courage. Every ripple matters. Every action writes eternity. And share this video with someone who needs light tonight. Maybe a friend drowning in despair. Maybe a family member lost in anger. Maybe a stranger who forgot hope. Be the one who passes the flame, so that the cold of this world will not win. Click subscribe. Write your choice. Share the story. Together we will guard compassion. Together we will heal homes. Together we will honor the warning Jesus gave me. The mission continues. And you are part of it now.